need to fix that. All right. I got this. All right. Got my headset on too. Okay, awesome. Thank you for hanging around for a few minutes, and we'll go ahead and consider ourselves in our conference, and you have a copy of our minutes from what was actually, was that the first quarter or second quarter? Whatever. But when we met in July, that was after our second quarter, and there you have that. And then the next, you'll notice on the very, very last page, on the very back, had one come in by baptism, a couple of others by statement, and we have others that will be presented in this next quarter that have already come in October, and more that are looking on. Notice all our books got taken this morning, which that's a good thing. It's their home. So there's no questions about that. I'll recognize Brother Jim Class. Jim, if you'll come ahead and walk us through our third quarter report.
All right, so, that's close enough. I can hear me. All right, so in our for our third quarter report, if you turn to the first page, of course, the top part is, you look at the middle column is the current year. And so you see our contributions, tithes and offerings to date through the end of September is $641,392.14, which compares to $647,249.71 last year. So we're actually a little bit down from last year, but we're still healthy overall financially. If you go to the end, the very last page, the one that's only got a few things on there, you see our year-to-date expenses. Again, middle column, $613,542.27, which leaves us with a net positive cash flow of $27,849.87 so far. That's now, if you look and see last year, we didn't spend as much. We only had spent $528. Of course, some of that had to do with COVID, and we weren't doing a lot of things last year that we were doing this year, so our expenses were down for that. But there's also a few things in this year, in the facilities area, where we have spent more than we had anticipated so far. A lot of that has to do with some of the air conditioning. We've had a lot of air conditioning issues, and on some of the maintenance lines and equipment lines in the facilities operations part of it, you see some of those items are pretty well expended, and then some. A lot of it has to do with either the air conditioning or some of that, again, on the utility side, we had some assessments come through that from the county and that haven't been there before, some special assessments and things for some different aspects in the city or the county. I don't remember which one it is. And then also even some of the flooring that we did upstairs in the children's wing, although we used some other money for that, it showed the expense is actually showing up in here under this right now. But there was other money that was used for that particular project with the flooring in the children's area. So those are a few of the things that have made the operations expense side look a little high in some of those areas, was some of those special things that have come up, so some of those needs in our facility. So that's kind of an overall, a quick overview of anything. If anyone has any questions, we can try to answer any questions that you might have for the report.
Okay, any questions? As he said, there's about, when you look at new equipment, and which is on the back page there, page 3, 5820, and then also 5805. That's about $43,000 spent in those two lines, and the majority of that is air conditioning. A lot of AC work. We've had to replace some units and stuff, and so.
About 30,000, I think at least 30,000 of it was air conditioning.
Yep.
or some, and then the floors were about $8,500.
Yep.
And,
okay.
So that's a lot of it right there.
Yeah. And of course, last year like you said, there's a little difference in year to date, and a lot of that is the fact that there were several months last year we didn't hold many activities or even some services here. We had a lot of services out on the hill as opposed to in town, but we've been back to almost full schedule this year. Okay. Any questions? All right, I don't see any. Okay, thank you. This comes from the committee as a report, and so it comes with a motion and second. Is there any no questions? If you're in favor of accepting the report as printed, would you say amen? Amen. All right. Any no's? All righty. Thank you. As I mentioned, our state convention is meeting on November 8th and 9th. I will be attending. Also, Francisco and Teresa Warbe will be attending, and Pastor James will be attending. And is there anyone else that would like to attend and would like to be voted on? Okay, Pastor Stephen, so I'll put him down. All right. Anyone else? Anybody want to go down there to a business meeting? That's some good worship. Okay. If there's not anybody else, if somebody make a motion that those 5 be approved, myself, Francisco Teresa Warbe, James Summerlin, and Stephen Crowley. All right, Dudley makes a motion. Kennedy seconds it. Oh, you want to join? Yeah. Whoa, back up. Okay. Okay. All right. Debbie too? Okay, just Kennedy. Okay. All right, so if you would, will you withdraw your motion, Dudley? You withdraw your motion? Okay. Yeah. So Kennedy Clark is willing to go. Anybody else? I don't want to jump the gun here. It's better than a root canal, I promise. No, it's not. It's a good meeting. No one else. Okay. So now we have 6. Myself, Francisco, Teresa, James, Stephen, and Kennedy. Can we have a motion for that? Dudley will still make the motion, even with Kennedy's name on there. All right. Okay. Somebody second that. Anybody? Norman second. Danny second. We got a second and a third. All right. If you will allow us to represent you on November 8th and 9th, would you just raise your hand? Any opposed? Like sign? Okay. All approved. Okay. Thank you. Well, at this time, I will recognize Bo Pippin, who chairs our Properties Committee. He was going to come and give us an update on the Hill. By the way, this morning, I think we had 52 people and 5 dogs. And we count them all, man. We count them all. But, yeah, we had a good time out there this morning. Come ahead, brother.
All right, we got the pole barn. We have put a pause on that for now. Last time I spoke to y'all, I told you that we had the contractor that had a permit. He was not able to get that. The county is giving us a hard time again. We've gotten used to that. So we put a pause on the pole barn for now. We have created a building committee that will focus strictly on building on that property out there. There's 12 members plus Paul Williams is on the committee. This committee will do all the design, the permitting, everything that's going to go into building on that property out there. Okay. One of our concerns is the location of the pole barn with the other structures. We want to make sure we get our elevations correct so everything flows nice. We don't want to build the pole barn and then it doesn't look right next to the other buildings. So we're going to take a step back. We're not going to stop the process. We're just going to take a little pause and make sure we get our ducks in a row before we go back and tackle that again. The committee's first meeting will be this Thursday. There's, like I said, 13 of us, and we'll start from there and go. Any questions?
I see a slide up there. Do we have a list of the members? All right. Got some of them's pictures. Whoa. All right. So Danny Holmes, Don Carr, Jim Class, Lamar Keith, Bo Pippin, Thomas Ramage, Brian Rozier, Danny Boyd, Jerry Stacy, John Henley, Lenny Rodriguez, and Paul Williams, and Norm Klein and Betty Burton. So that's the committee that they have, are going to be overseeing this.
One more thing, Pastor James meets out there on Sunday evenings with some college and career age people. The pole barn, we were planning on them being able to get in there to get out, because we get rain in the afternoon, the summertime and stuff. We wanted them to be able to get in that pole barn to get out of the rain and stuff. Obviously, that's not happening right this second, so we're going to put up a big sail, kind of like what's over the playground out here. Similar thing, a little bit more waterproof than what we have there, but the same concept. We're going to try to put that strategically where, you know, it makes sense to have it, but if we have to, we can always move it. But it's something that will be long-term. It may not always be in the same location, but it'll give them somewhere to get out of the rain and the sun. So.
Yeah, great.
All right.
Thank you, Bo. Don't go too far. Any questions? Like you said, we're still looking at putting a covering out there, but it won't be something so elaborate that it gets into a permitting issue. It's just basically what we have be bigger than what's over the playground, but give them some room cover. Bathrooms? We can get to that. Bathrooms.
We cannot do bathrooms that are permanent at this time. We've got to get the concept going for, the permit started to be pulled for the main building before we can do anything else that requires a permit. We've got to get the main structure permitting submitted. That opens doors to the pole barn, bathrooms, other things, but we got to get that going first to make sure that the county knows that we're serious about this.
Yep. All right, good question.
Can they put the names of the committee back up there, because it went too fast for me to watch?
Could you just put the names up for Melba and pictures just slowly so she can get those? It's the Properties Committee plus a few others that helped in the initial process. So, okay.
Okay, I have that one.
All right, got that one next. Okay. Any questions? Like you said, we want to do things decently and in order. And about 19, 20 months ago, you know, we had no idea we would be where we are today with the church's blessing and willingness to take this step of faith with a permanent building, a multi-purpose building. But I believe that the Lord just sort of held that pavilion up, because like I said, the worst thing we could have done is put it there, and then they have to regrade that property and it have to be moved. And so God's timing is always best. And it's not that we aren't going to provide something, you know, especially for you know, our table on the hill, which meets on Sunday nights. But also, I know we're going to have some children's fellowships and other groups want to meet out there, especially now that the weather's getting better. As soon as they can get basically the green light from the engineers as far as grading, then they'll put that baby up somewhere. And another thing is, we wanted to be as cost conscientious as possible now with the multi-purpose building, you know, coming. We don't want to spend, you know, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 for a pavilion, you know, when we know that we're looking at a permanent structure. So that's another, you know, I think a wise move on behalf of our properties and this building committee to do that. So, questions? All right, no questions? Let me just mention, you go ahead. Thank you, Bo. God's Land, God's Plan is the fund that we will channel all giving through forward as far as the hill is concerned. The new building, the expansion out there, that was the original program that we had when I came, God's Land, God's Plan. Towards tomorrow, that is on your offering envelope, that was for the renovation in here and also in these buildings. And so if you want to go ahead and start giving, I know my family, Carly and I, we started giving this morning, and we'll be giving every week, you know, toward the property on the hill. It's called God's Land, God's Plan. So I just wrote that in there, GLGP, or you can put the hill if you want to go ahead and start giving to that. we will have a capital fundraising campaign that we will do in-house. I'm just not in favor of paying somebody $250,000 to $300,000 to come in here and tell us we need to raise money. They may do a better job from the standpoint that they guilt people, but I'm not one to guilt people. I believe it's better to let the Holy Spirit lead and move people. And God's already been doing that. We had that one, challenge gift of $250,000 that began this process a few months ago. And I received a phone call completely unsolicited a couple of weeks ago from one of our members and said, Pastor, I just want you to know that my family, we've prayed about this and hoping that this might even encourage some others. But we want to give $100,000 to the expansion of that building on the property. I said, well, brother, you didn't have to tell me that, because I don't usually know what anybody does. I don't want to know. But I said, well, I thank you, and I was blown away, because here again, go God. Well, this past week, I was approached again by another family that says, we want to give $100,000 to the building. So when you consider that along with the 180 that we already have, we're over 600,000, which is about, here again, I promised Bo and Paul I would not quote numbers. But I'd say we're well on our way. That's a good start without even, having the fundraising. So go ahead, begin praying. And like I said, if you want to go ahead and start, you can start in February, or you can, this year is a great year because from a tax standpoint, it may be better for you. Also, another way you can give long term, is just like Lily Glavich, who was, I think, our oldest active member when she passed. Was it this year or last year? That's hard for me to remember. It's been this year. But Miss Lily passed in the spring. Well, she had it in her estate to give a percentage to the church from the sale of her house. And tomorrow we're going to receive a check for $27,000. Because she had the foresight that she wanted to tithe back to her church off the sale of her house. And I have my estate set up that way, or Carlene and I have our estate set up that way, to where, there's some that will be going to missions and to church and stuff. And I'd encourage each of you, to look at that. Not that we want to kill you off, because, God's got enough cows that he don't need to take us. But so just want you to know, be thinking about things like that. And we're probably going to bring in someone from the state convention who can help you with that at no charge if you want to amend your, estate as far as your will. And but go ahead and start praying about it, because people are already getting excited. I think God's moving. He's making that very, very clear. And like I said, we had best attendance on the hill we've had in a few weeks, so it's just a beautiful day. And several new families out there. That's the exciting thing. And I had several new families in our last service as well as the 9:30 service. So God is beginning to bring a lot of new folks our way, and I know He's going to provide. He always has. Any questions, comments? Let me ask this question. Let me poll you real quick. We're looking at a time to have that banquet. If the way spring break falls, it falls like March the 8th through the 15th, 16th. If we had the banquet that first weekend of spring break, would that be a bad time? What do y'all think? If you think it'd be a bad time to have it, raise your hand. The first Saturday of spring break. Okay, you got one person thinks it might be a bad time. Okay, I'm just curious because we're 14th through the 18th. Yeah, March 14th. Okay. 14th through the 18th?
So the 12th is the first Saturday?
Yeah.
And the 19th is the second Saturday.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, March 12th is what I was thinking about. So we're looking at possibly having someone just come in to challenge us and just looking at their schedules and stuff. And we know God will provide the right person to encourage us. But it may be in February. And but at the latest, March the 12th, which would be that first weekend of spring break. But we're going to try to stay away from that if we can. All right. Pardon? Yeah, February would be better. I agree. I like February. So, any other questions or thoughts, comments? Well, keep those folks in your prayers, especially. It's a large committee, but there's going to be a lot that's going to have to be done. And, there'll be others that will be helping us with the planning of the banquet and the capital fundraising weekend, because what we'll do is probably on a Saturday night, we'll have a banquet and have a speaker and lay out everything. And then on, hopefully that Sunday, we'll have someone be able to stay and just celebrate that weekend with us. But God will put all that together. All right. No other questions? Y'all ready to go eat? Let me remind you, I didn't say anything about it, but tonight is Night of Adoration, so we will be meeting for prayer and praise. At what time is that?
It's usually 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Okay. My mind's got too many things going, so I learned to not. I'm trying to learn. Bo's trying to keep me in line. Not say anything I don't need to say. All righty. If you can, join us back at 6, because we'll do some singing and some praying tonight. God bless you. Go have some good lunch and get you a little bit of rest. See you later.